Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
What it do, Mr. Singleton?
What's good, my friend? How we doing?
Oh, what a Tuesday. The University of Oklahoma, the illustrious University of Oklahoma, is supposedly, purportedly, getting a new basketball arena as part of the Rock Creek Entertainment District. That, of course,
hell yeah,
is the news of the day. My face hurts, my sides hurt, my head hurts from laughing so much over the last 2 hours.
I thought we were about to just go down the my neck, my back.
No. Not quite that. Steely has been on one for the last 2 hours over the approval of the Rock Creek Entertainment District.
I've heard some of it.
Holy smokes, man. I'm still recovering. It's probably going to take me the whole hour to recover. But we're here to talk ball here on Locked In. With all of y'all on the text line at 405-651-3439. The show brought to you today by Dorsy Jones GMC out in El Reno. If you're shopping around for a new vehicle, folks, outstanding pricing, a low-pressure sales environment, friendly service technicians and sales reps out there at Dorsy Jones, as well as half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Dorsy Jones is there for you before, during, and after the sale. So make the drive out to El Reno and check them out. We appreciate their partnership. It's going to kind of be a low-key month here in February, Grayson. There's not going to be a ton of recruiting news, I would imagine, because it is a quiet period. Coaches are off the road. The Sooners can't host any visitors again until the month of March. So for the next month or so, we're pretty much just looking ahead to the Future Freaks Junior Day and trying to determine whether there will be any commits between now and March 7th. I assume there will be. Generally how it goes this time of year is you'll get a guy or two that pops. I'm trying to think who it was last year for Oklahoma. Daniel Odom, I guess, committed at the end of January. So that was a commitment that Oklahoma picked up right about this time last year. But now, with the quiet period in place, with these kids just kind of sitting at home, taking stock of everything before spring visits and obviously summer OVs, there are some that will come to a decision of some kind during the quiet period. So we await that. But seeing as how we did just tie a bow on the month of January over the weekend, we do need to award KREF Recruiter of the Month status to one OU assistant for the month of January. Do we have any beef with the nomination of DeMarco Murray? Is anyone going to dispute that? Because to me,
it ain't going to come from me.
DeMarco Murray getting the Sooners on board in the class of 2028 with the number 3 running back in the nation, that takes the cake for me in January. So DeMarco Murray, for all the work he's done recently, I think he was recruiter of the month in November too, was he not, for landing Jackson Stokes and Keldred Ben?
Yes.
So DeMarco Murray's kind of been on a heater the last couple months. And not only did he land Stokes and Ben in November, but he also flipped Jonathan Hatton from Texas A&M. So it's been a good few months for Mr. Murray. And that continued last week with the pickup of Micah Rhodes, a guy who, as it stands, is the only pledge in Oklahoma's 2028 class. But if you logged into social media last night, you noticed he's already doing some recruiting of his own. Hitting up Reagan Smith, brand new Oklahoma offer at the linebacker position from the Austin area. 28 kid, 6'3", 210 pounds, really athletic, really versatile, kind of like Taven Epps in the sense that he could be a linebacker at the collegiate level or he could wind up sliding down and being an edge rusher, defensive end type. But he has a lot of family ties to Oklahoma. The Sooners became his first big-time offer last week, and Rhodes is already putting the work in, not only with him, Grayson, but with 5-star 2028 offensive tackle Armani Edwards, another Houston area kid.
Yeah, is Micah Rhodes going to be up for Recruiter of the Month?
At some point down the line, he may very well be.
I mean, I will say this. The peer recruiting is awesome. That's why you got to get guys. And look, you don't need to get your entire class nailed down by the month of March, but having a couple dudes who are going to be inspired to go out and recruit on your behalf while you're on a dead period certainly cannot hurt. But as for DeMarco Murray, you're talking about a guy who landed a dude who could end up being a top 5 player at his position in the 2028 class, and probably even higher ranked than that. So, to me, DeMarco was going to be my nomination. You're not going to get any pushback from me on that. Big Cheeto 34 on the YouTube chat says DeMarco Murray it is. So, I don't think, at least for the month of January, we're going to have a whole lot of arguments to the contrary for DeMarco Murray.
He's done great work on the trail. And now, of course, the challenge is, the Waffler said it on the text line, Murray's always recruited good according to the sites. But what has he actually produced? Nothing. He hasn't produced nothing. His backs have produced. Have they produced commensurate with expectations over the last 3 seasons? No. That is fair to say. But excuses are starting to dry up for a lot of guys in 2026 that are involved with the OU football machine, most notably John Mateer. But I think excuses are starting to dry up for DeMarco Murray as well. Yeah, you've been able to point the finger at the injury bug the last couple of years, 2025. It's not DeMarco's fault that Jayden Knott just kind of pieced out on everything and everybody. So nothing you can do about that as a position coach. In 2026, though, he's going to have Torrey Blaylock. He's going to have Xavier Robinson. And the early impressions of Jonathan Hatton since he got to campus, Grayson, have been stellar. They expect that kid's going to make a dent this fall.
Well, there you go. Now, we also talked about this months ago when I went on a pro DeMarco Murray rant, but can they keep the offensive line in front of the running backs healthy too? Because I feel like that's going to play a role. Obviously, you have run blocking upgrades at the tight end position too. So the blocking, if they can keep the line healthy, the blocking should not be an issue. Therefore, we get back to what you just said. The excuses are going to start to dry up for DeMarco, and that's a good spot to be in. Not just for us, but for DeMarco as well. Maybe he's got to say, look, if I do my work, everything else around me is going to take care of itself. And for us now, we can zero in on what's your room going to do as long as the line stays healthy and the tight ends live up to expectations in terms of the improvements they can bring as blockers.
With Oklahoma on the board in the 2028 class, I'll say this, it may not be too terribly long. I don't know of anything that is imminent, but it may not be too terribly long before Oklahoma starts to add more pledges in the 28 cycle, because we've talked about Camion Compton-Narrow up there at Rejoice Christian School in Owasso as a guy that even at this stage is a heavy OU lean. Ben Arbuckle, to this point, has only made one quarterback offer in the 2028 class, but he visited that kid this past week, and indications are the Sooners are in a decent spot with Graham Simpson out of the state of Tennessee, Ty Simpson's younger brother. If you can lock in a quarterback early in the cycle, that's always a substantial benefit for a program. The Sooners don't even have their 2027 quarterback lined up yet. So, admittedly, you don't necessarily have to get a decision from a 28 quarterback within the next few months to feel good about where that class is trending, especially when you look at the progress Oklahoma has made in 27 without a QB commit to date. But I'm curious to know whether Oklahoma is going to move forward and make Graham Simpson their sole target at the quarterback position in 2028, or whether they might extend a few more offers at the position. Does a guy like Creed Barrett down the road at Washington get an offer from the Sooners, for instance? There are obviously other guys that are on the radar and will wind up being on the radar in the 28 class at quarterback, but you have your linchpin in Micah Rhodes. if at some point you can get your in-state flag bearer in Camion Compton-Nero locked down as well, then we're looking at a world where, depending on the outcome in 2027, as long as Oklahoma can sustain the momentum there, we might be talking about a world where Oklahoma's back in the conversation with the top 5 recruiting class on a darn near perennial basis. That hasn't been the case for a while.
No, it is not. Also, speaking of Washington, where does Oklahoma stand with Case Alexander?
So I think the main competition there is going to be Penn State.
Sure.
Because of the connection to Matt Campbell and his staff. Obviously, his brother's up there now. The harsh reality, and I like where Oklahoma's at with Case Alexander, but the one thing that should be cause for pause, if you will, is the fact that the Sooners haven't been able to break through at Washington in recent years. And they've had opportunities. Nate Roberts, Cooper Alexander, those were 2 guys that held OU offers, that OU prioritized. You can argue Joe John Finley, who was obviously the tight ends coach at the time, didn't do quite enough in the Cooper Alexander recruitment to close the gap between Iowa State and OU. We went 0 for 2 with those kids. Can you snap the streak with Case Alexander? Because Washington is one of those schools, Grayson, that even at the 2A level in Oklahoma, it appears evident that they're going to have some talent rolling through over the next few years. Because once you build the machine, people want to be part of the machine. Talent, elite talent, wants to be part of the machine. And as of right now, they got 3 guys over there in Case Alexander, Creed Barrett, and Josiah Dickerson, the 2028 running back, that hold FBS offers as of now. And obviously, Alexander and Barrett, those are high-level P4 targets right now. Dickerson is a guy, I'm just really intrigued to see what happens with him because he's so small. He's only about 5'7", and that might be generous. But he is as bulked up as any high school running back you will see, and he is freaky athletic. Just watching him move around over the weekend down there in Durant, I like Josiah Dickerson, man. He's one of those guys I feel like, yeah, he's 5'7", and that's probably all he ever will be. But he might be the type of 5'7" guy I'm willing to take a gander on, take a chance on. We've seen 5'7" running backs have a lot of success at the FBS at the P4 level before. They're not terribly common. They're not ubiquitous across the landscape of the college football realm. But there are some 5'7" backs every now and again that pop off. I could see that for Josiah Dickerson. Going to be curious to see whether he winds up an OU offer guy in 28. I think it's going to be more difficult now that Micah Rhodes is already on board, and he, like Dickerson, is kind of more that shorter in stature, thickly built type of back.
So Darren Sproles type archetype.
I think even a better comp would be what Puerto Rican Sooner just said, Deuce Vaughn on the text line. Darren Sproles is one of one. But yeah, I think you're not going to find another Darren Sproles, but yeah, Josiah Dickerson could be another Deuce Vaughn type dude.
Okay.
Where whether it's at OU or elsewhere, he goes somewhere and tears it up just because despite his size, man, he's one of the freakiest athletes on the entire field. Jim in Arlington says, unambiguous. My vocabulary is enriched every day due to Parker. You're welcome, Jim. Happy to help. Weston Sooner says, Quentin Griffin was 5'7". Yes, he was. We've seen guys like this before have success. Now, not every 5'7" running back is going to be the next big thing the way that Quentin Griffin was or the way Darren Sproles was. And Darren Sproles was only like 5'5", too. But Deuce Vaughn as well. There's a reason those guys stand out, and it's because they're few and far between at that size and with that frame. But to me, just watching Josiah Dickerson and his development over the years, I think he can be one of those guys.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
EJ from Louisiana says, are the 28 recruits set at their NIL price, Or does it go up depending on the ranking during their senior season? We're a long way off from figuring out what the final price point is going to be for these 28 kids.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even really know what the price point's going to be for some of these 27
I was about to
kids.
say, that's not set in stone either.
Yeah, and OU's in a good position in that regard because the high-dollar guys, I should say the majority of the high-dollar guys that they have on board are not going anywhere. Like Cooper Hackett's not going anywhere. Caden Penny's not going anywhere. Taven Epps is not going anywhere. Those are not dudes that are going to be swayed by enormous financial promises from other institutions when OV season rolls around. But you're probably going to have to seriously engage in a battle on the NIL front to be able to retain a guy like Damari DeJean from out on the West Coast, or a guy like Elijah Harmon as well. That, those schools like USC and Oregon and maybe Arizona State, at UCLA, we'll see how much money they've got with the new operation under Bob Chesney. It's going to be schools like that where they just keep chipping away with guys that are committed to a school like Oklahoma, but in somebody else's backyard, in this case USC and UCLA's. It's guys like that schools are going to continue to try and sway with the promises of money. So Oklahoma's far from out of the woods with all of their 13 commits, but the good news is you got a front office that has been very proactive and very wise with their allocation of resources thus far. 405-651-3439. Hit us up on the text line. Locked In rolls on the other side. Let's get a quick word in from our sponsors that make it all possible. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton, here with you in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. We'll return in just a moment.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsy Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsy Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsy-jonesgmc.com for more information.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
Time is running out. The Daddy-Daughter Dance is almost here. Join us on February 7th at the Young Family Athletics Center for a night of music, dancing, and fun. Enjoy a live DJ, tasty snacks, drinks, and a keepsake photo to remember the night. Choose from 3 dance times, including a sensory-friendly option. Make memories together. Don't miss the special tradition. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours now. Go online to normanparks.com.
I'm Kim Papit of Fisher Diamonds of Antwerp, Belgium. Each day, I have the privilege to see the most beautiful diamonds in the world in the diamond rooms of Antwerp, Belgium. Today, I am hand-selecting each diamond for the Mitchell Jewelry Valentine's Day Antwerp Diamond event. Diamonds for earrings, pendants, and of course, engagement rings. The quality and prices of our diamonds are beyond compare. Call Mitchell Jewelry today and let them know what I can bring for you. You could be the next Antwerp Diamond winner.
Hey, it's Tyler McComas with The Rush. Catch us every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Nobody covers Sooner football like we do, and the best way to stay tuned into the home of Sooner fans, no matter where you are, is with the KREF app presented by Warren Cat. Download the app from the Apple or Google Play Store and take us with you everywhere. Just search KREF in your app store and download today. The KREF app presented by Warren Cat, whatever the job, whatever it takes.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel on yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you.
Contact South Central CASA at 405-360-5295.
My mom is a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I'm doing much better now. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned.
My victory is getting my life back.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Data shows that after a child turns 9 in foster care, they are much less likely to be adopted. But the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption believes every child is adoptable.
Families, if you're able to let your hair down a little bit, there's a lot to learn from teenagers.
The clock is ticking for teens at risk of aging out of foster care. Learn how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
Old Mojo Bo on the text line must have been watching Fox News, I think. He texted to ask, Parker, is your uncle 6'6", or was he on a pedestal? I tell you, old Uncle John is the tallest guy in our family. He won the genetic lottery in many ways. He is very conservatively 6'4". So, not 6'6".
Conservatively 6'4".
Yeah, not 6'6", but he's a tall dude.
Your uncle on TV right now or something?
He must be.
Okay.
I don't know. We don't have Fox News on in these studios. That may surprise some people, but we have ESPN on one TV, ESPN2 on the other TV. And that's generally how it is around here.
Yeah, I would say so.
Unless there are major sporting events on one of the networks like Fox, NBC, whatever. Puerto Rican Sooner on the text line says, I'm loving seeing such high-quality recruits coming out of Oklahoma, man. It's nice. This 2027 class in-state is stacked. I can remember a world, Grayson. I can remember a time less than a year ago when there were folks that were somewhat understandably worried.
I would say very
about whether Oklahoma,
about
whether Oklahoma was losing touch with the in-state relationships that kept their roots firmly grounded within state lines on the recruiting trail. Oklahoma only signed one in-state prospect in the 2026 recruiting cycle. First time in the modern recruiting era that had happened. Zizi Okafaleze from Rejoice Christian. That was it. He was the only guy from the state of Oklahoma that signed in 2026. But here we are in 2027, and Oklahoma not only has 2 very highly touted in-state commits already on board in Cooper Hackett and Caden Penny, but there are going to be more. There are going to be plenty more guys that wind up in this class from inside the Sooner State. If you had to bet,
okay,
if you had to rank them in order of likelihood, the 3 guys within state lines that you think are most likely to wind up in Oklahoma's class in 2027 would be who?
Okay, are we considering guys that are already committed?
No. So outside of Hackett, outside of Penny,
okay,
give me 3 uncommitted guys right now that you think wind up in OU's class.
Okay. They got to get it done with Gabe Osborne, I think.
I feel good about that one.
Okay, so let's go Gabe Osborne 1. I think Samaj Stanford you're going to be in for a bigger dogfight for Samaj Stanford. Okay, can I count Cooper Witten?
Not yet.
Not yet. We're not doing that yet.
Nope.
Okay. Grayson Howell.
There you go.
Yeah. So if I'm going to put it in order, I would actually go Grayson Howell 1.
I think that's perfectly fair.
I would go
agree.
Gabe Osborne 2.
Think I'm with you.
And I would go Samaj Stanford. No. Ben Kolar ahead of Samaj Stanford.
Bingo.
I really don't know about Samaj Stanford.
I don't know about Samaj Stanford either.
He could end up at Oklahoma, or he could end up somewhere else.
That was the exact 3 I had. Graydon Howell 1, Gabe Osborne 2, Ben Kolar 3.
I can't believe I took so long to get around to Kolar, seeing that I saw him every single week.
Those three feel like the highest likelihood guys to wind up in Oklahoma's 2027 class. And we'll see what happens with Case Alexander. I would have him just off the podium. I feel good about where OU stands, but you have to keep in mind he's got plenty of ties up there at Penn State, and especially for a player of his caliber, Penn State is going to be a lot more appetizing than Iowa State was.
Did you see that there is the Rivals prediction in now for him to end up at Penn State?
Is there really?
There is a prediction out.
From whom?
Let's see. It's a good question. Never mind. I'm looking at the RPM right now.
Oh, okay.
There's not been a prediction levied just yet. So completely discard that.
Oh, holy smokes. The prediction is on. Well, okay, no, there are a couple of predictions in from Wilt Fong and from Sam Spiegelman.
Okay, that's what I thought. I saw something.
So there you go.
There you go.
So those guys seem to think that Penn State is trending. We shall see whether Oklahoma can reverse the momentum. At this point, when you see a school picking up steam like that for a kid like Case Alexander, what I think it's probably going to come down to for Oklahoma is, can you get him on campus for Future Freaks on March 7th? If you can, then you have a chance to really fight back against the current. But if Case Alexander is anywhere other than the University of Oklahoma on March 7th, then things become a lot more hairy.
You're pretty much cooked at that point.
I'd tend to agree. I think it's that simple. Having done this for as long as I have, I think it's that simple. When the vibes suggest Penn State is moving into lead position and you have a big junior day that a kid that is a blue chip caliber is 20 minutes down the road from, if he's there, you got a shot. If he's not there, something is amiss.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brad from Mustang dropped us this note. I was at a Mustang basketball game a couple weeks back, and freaking Will Muschamp comes over and sits in front of me. If ever a dude looked and smelled like he was a used car salesman, it was he. He was there watching Osborne and meeting with his parents. What does a used car salesman smell like?
I was about to ask the same question. Enlighten me, Brad. Enlighten me, Brad. I have bought a used car. I have never bought a used car from a used car salesman.
Yeah.
I have never gone to a used car lot and interacted with one of the salesmen in question. I need to know what the experience is like of being around Will Muschamp. But Texas is going to make a hard push for Gabe Osborne. And there are other schools that will certainly remain in the mix as well. But I like Oklahoma's odds to be able to keep him home. And he did visit for the junior day over the weekend. It was a very small junior day. There were 3 uncommitted visitors. 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was Gabe Osborne, it was Gus Corsair, and it was Caden Penny's high school teammate Gavin Wilson, who doesn't even have an OU offer yet. So he was just kind of tagging along with Caden Penny. But that was it, man. The whole staff was there to greet Gabe Osborne. He tweeted about it. The whole staff was there to greet him when he walked in the doors. He was not there for very long. It was a visit that only spanned a couple of hours. But he is a major, major priority at Oklahoma.
As he should.
He is, if we're talking about the overall importance of targets on Oklahoma's 2027 recruiting board, within the collective mind of the front office, I would say there are not more than 2 or 3 players at most in the 2027 class that they covet more than Gabe Osborne, excuse me.
Gus Corsair is a big dude, too.
He is, man.
He walked by me at the OU Texas game on Saturday afternoon. I was like, that's a huge kid.
It's very fortuitous that Oklahoma found him as early as they did, because they were the first P4 school to start recruiting Gus Corsair out in western Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And in years past, here's what happens. OU never discovers that kid. A lot of schools never discover that kid. Nationally, that is. And he winds up going to Kansas State, redshirting for a year, and then dominating the Big 12 as a 3-year starter at center for the Wildcats and going to the NFL. How many times have we seen that story play out?
Quite a few.
So when Oklahoma, I should say if Oklahoma wins that battle in the end over Kansas State and Kentucky and Vanderbilt, and I guess Oregon recently offered as well, there will be those that are tempted to dismiss the importance of that addition because, well, Kansas State wanted the kid.
The hell
big
was that
whoop.
noise that you just made?
Yeah, big whoop. But I'm telling you, like, these are the types of kids. These are the types of kids that for years gave Oklahoma hell in the Big 12. We all remember this, right? We all remember the last decade of Oklahoma's stay in the Big 12 when Kansas State was a thorn in Oklahoma's side every freaking year. Oklahoma blew them out in 2018. I think that final was, 55-0? Something like that. I think they beat them pretty handily in 2015. They beat them pretty handily in 2018. Kansas State won 5 or 6 of those last 12 games against Oklahoma in the Big 12. And in several of the other ones, 2021 comes to mind, up in Manhattan. OU had to sweat it out all the way till the final possession.
Yeah, the gap was starting to close a little bit, and that was mostly because those teams were getting better, not the alternative of Oklahoma getting worse. Here's an interesting question on the YouTube chat.
Okay.
Can you guys name 3 recent Oklahoma high school recruits that have went outside of Oklahoma and actually made an impact?
Hang on. Read this again for
Yo,
me.
I got you. Can we name 3 recent Oklahoma high school recruits that have went to a school that's not OU and actually made an impact?
How recently are we talking, and what kind of an impact are we talking about? Because I can make the argument, and I would make the argument, that Nate Roberts made an impact this past year at Ohio State.
Yes.
He played a lot for them
Yes,
as
he
a
did.
true freshman.
Yes.
Is that the type of impact you're looking for? Like, are you content if I name Nate Roberts in that discussion, or are you looking for somebody that plays a skill position and produced and was in the conversation for national awards or something along those lines?
I think Nate Roberts would suffice because if Nate Roberts was on this Oklahoma team, he might have been the best tight end on the team this year.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one, very recently, mind you. How about the number 1 running back in the transfer portal cycle this past winter, Caleb Hawkins? His only FBS offer was North Texas. He was right down the road in Shawnee. Not only did he slip underneath OU's radar, he slipped underneath Oklahoma State's radar. He slipped underneath Tulsa's radar. Oklahoma's own Patrick Cobbs was the only FBS coach that saw the potential in Caleb Hawkins, and all he did was lead the FBS in total touchdowns. Scrimmage touchdowns, that is. Will from Moore, there you go. George Kittle. I don't know how well that's known, that George Kittle is a graduate of Norman High. Did you realize that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of people around here that would be surprised to know.
Yeah,
and are unaware that
because he
George
went to Iowa.
Exactly. He went to Iowa to play. He didn't commit there as a tight end. I can't remember if he committed there as a wide receiver or maybe a linebacker, but he wasn't even a tight end when he graduated high school. Dax Hill is a great example. Charlie Kolar is a great example. Under the radar nomination from Puerto Rican Sooner. How about Cade McConnell? A cornerstone piece of that Vanderbilt offensive line last couple seasons.
This is a good one from the 580. How about the quarterback at Utah? Yeah, Bird Ficklin. From Muskogee.
Yep, real good one. Josh Jacobs. Evan from Blanchard, good pull. Cam Little.
Southmore's own
Cam Little, who has the biggest leg in the NFL right now.
Uh-huh.
Has the 2 longest field goals in NFL history. Went to the University of Arkansas. Corey from Newcastle. There you go. Caden Knighton played a lot this past year as a true freshman down at Baylor.
Okay.
Made a dent for that program.
So let's ask this question here. So, obviously, you've got a guy like a Pro Bowl kicker in Cam Little. Dax Hill, not an under-the-radar guy. He was a solid guy. How did Oklahoma not end up with some of these guys?
There's no blanket answer.
Sure.
Luke Has from Arkansas, or now at Ole Miss, another great nomination on the text line. Every case is different. Some of these kids, obviously Hawkins falls in this category, Charlie Kolar falls in this category. Some guys they just didn't even offer. Some guys, Oklahoma did not arrive at the judgment that they were good enough, that they were talented enough to offer. And that's why they went elsewhere. But I can't really remember the story on Dax Hill because OU offered Dax Hill. OU wanted Dax. Everybody wanted Dax Hill.
Mm-hmm.
You think back to, and this is a kid that didn't really pan out, or should I say hasn't panned out, but Talon Shetron was an in-state top 100 prospect that chose Oklahoma State because of the twin brother that Oklahoma State would offer a scholarship to, but OU was only willing to PWO him. So the two went to Oklahoma State. Luke Has had family ties to Arkansas. I'm not convinced he was ever coming to Oklahoma after Lincoln Riley left because he was committed to OU briefly while Riley was still the head coach. I think that ship kind of sailed as soon as Riley was out the door. Cam Curl at Arkansas, good call.
Which I did not know Cam Curl was. Wait, which Cam? Are we talking about the same Cam Curl that plays for the Rams?
Yes, that Cam Curl.
Yeah, he did go to Muskogee. Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm. Where did Cole Adams end up? Where did he land in the transfer portal?
That's a good question.
If that ever came down, I missed it. Where did Cole Adams end up? You know what?
Vanderbilt is what's coming up for me right now.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yep, sure enough.
Yeah.
Sure enough. Wound up at Vanderbilt. Good for Cole. That means, you will see him this coming year.
Yeah.
405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to interact with us. Here on Locked In, one more segment to come on the other side. Keep it right here. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We shall return.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Call the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman at 405-310-3189. Let them prepare your party. You'll be the favorite guest when you bring a Chick-fil-A nugget tray, sandwiches, or a mac and cheese tray. It'll be their pleasure to serve you, whether dining in, carrying out, catering, or delivering delightfulness to your front door. Box meals to nugget trays to gallons of lemonade and tea. They have plenty to offer for your next class party, team celebration, or family gathering. You'll be the big-time guest when you bring Chick-fil-A. Call 405-310-3189. And remember, eat more chicken.
Good times are calling your name at Riverwind.
So fill your heart with jackpots at OKC's favorite casino.
Catch the hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater.
Or take it all home on a classic table game.
Play with your wild card, and every Friday in February,
you could win stacks of cash
with our $250,000 Love Struck Luck giveaway. So make it a date, and we'll see you at Riverwind.
When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
Belmar Golf Club offers a whole new world of recreation and excitement. Our Junior Olympic-sized swimming pool offers a family-friendly atmosphere with poolside food and beverages perfect for all types of summer pool parties. In addition to the best golf course in Oklahoma, Belmar is also a great place to hold corporate and fundraising events, as well as magnificent and memorable wedding ceremonies. Call 405-364-0111 or stop by 1025 East Indian Hills Road and check out our first-class facilities and exceptional service.
Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All-American Roofing today. All-American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google-guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All-American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All-American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400. Courtyard Marriott Norman offers affordable and stylish accommodations, featuring an on-site bar and bistro and classic Southern hospitality. They're conveniently located off of I-35 and West Robinson Street, close to shopping and dining options, and provide quick commutes to local attractions such as the Lloyd Noble Center, Love's Field, and L. Dale Mitchell Ballpark. Courtyard Norman, 405-701-8900. That's 405-701-8900.
Entrepreneurs in Moore, Norman, and South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. Moore Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, Moore Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about Moore Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Hey y'all, I'm Kelly Clarkson. Every American dreams of creating a better life for his or her family, but in some communities, those dreams face difficult challenges. When we come together to help those in need get the same opportunities as everyone else, we truly are making our country a better place to live for all of us. So look for volunteer opportunities in your community to help others achieve the American dream, all right? This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
It's the ref, the Home of Sooner fans. This is Locked In. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton, talking OU football recruiting with you for one more segment before the rush kicks off with Tyler and Ted. Within the last hour, four-star defensive tackle George Toya out of the DFW area announced that he had cut his list to 8 schools, of which OU is one. Grayson, and there's a little bit of a predicament that could be afoot with regard to Oklahoma's defensive tackle recruiting efforts in the 27 class, because they already have 2 commits. Elijah Harmon out of California, Devin Robertson out of the state of Mississippi. They already got 2 U.S. Navy All-American commits at that. 2 absolute studs at defensive tackle. They're on the short list for George Toya. And if you asked me who Oklahoma's next commit in the 2027 cycle would be, it could be Gus Corsair, it could be Jaylen Scott, it could be Jamison Roberts, but I might go with Zane Rowe. And if Zane Rowe commits to Oklahoma, I should say recommits to Oklahoma, because it would not be the first time.
Yeah.
He would be committing as a defensive tackle.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
that is what they see Zane Rowe becoming, because
how did we get to this point?
That kid has gotten big. That's how we got to this point. That kid has gotten huge. He just keeps adding muscle and adding muscle and adding muscle. There was a time it seemed like Zane Rowe was going to be a 6'5", 245 edge rusher and or maybe a tight end at the next level. I think we're beyond that. Zane Rowe in all likelihood is going to be a defensive tackle at the collegiate level at this point. And so, let's say Oklahoma lands him. And let's say, okay, maybe he doesn't start out as a true defensive tackle. Maybe he's a Nigel Smith tweener type, because I think that's actually a good comp for where he's at physically. It's very reminiscent of where Nigel Smith was at this stage in his development. And, of course, Nigel Smith did wind up playing defensive tackle at OU or shifting to defensive tackle at OU, even though he showed up as a defensive end. So if the Sooners get Devin Robertson, if the Sooners get Elijah Harmon, if they're able to hold on to those two and they can wind up reeling Zane Rowe back into the fold, then, man, at what point do you have to start turning guys away at defensive tackle? Because George Toya also isn't the only one beyond that trio that has eyes on Oklahoma at that position.
I mean, I think if Zane Rowe is going to commit as a DT, I mean, that's 3 right there. Yep. Does it make more sense to take 4 or 5 of them? I don't know in one particular class. I mean, obviously you could answer this question better than I could, but has Oklahoma taken more than 3 in a particular class before? And if so, how frequently?
I'm trying to recall how many they took in the 2022 cycle. Because there are some names from that group. Some names that you have long forgotten about. Do you remember Cedric Roberts? No, of course you don't. Do you remember Alton Tarber? No, of course you don't. Who the heck else was there in that 2022 class?
Grayson Halton.
Oh, yes, there was Grayson Halton, although he originally committed as a defensive end. So he was kind of on that Nigel Smith, Zane Rowe type trajectory where he slid inside. True freshman season, Grayson Halton actually played quite a bit for Oklahoma at defensive end. I don't think, off the dome, I can't recall a year where Oklahoma took 4 defensive tackles.
Okay, so I've got the defensive line pulled up right now for 2022. So Grayson Halton, Cedric Roberts, Alton Tarber, Jeffrey, he was a transfer. He was a transfer. So, yeah, just those 3.
What a bust that was. Grayson Halton panned out. And Miguel Chavis was his lead recruiter because initially he was going to be a defensive end. But to think that the 2 defensive tackles that Oklahoma signed in that group, the 2 true defensive tackles were Alton Tarber and Cedric Roberts, neither of whom ever appeared in a game as an Oklahoma Sooner. But when we're looking at the defensive tackle picture right now, another kid that Oklahoma visited in the contact period, a top 50 player nationally, and like Devin Robertson, hails from the state of Mississippi, Benjarvius Shoemaker from Ackerman, Mississippi. That's another kid that Oklahoma's right there in the mix for. I don't know how much they're in it for Joseph Graves. I don't know how hard they're pushing there, if they're pushing. Because he's originally from Booker T. He's at IMG now. That's another defensive tackle in the 2027 class that technically holds an offer from OU, and another kid that could go in that same category and was real high on Oklahoma initially, even though that buzz has kind of abated in recent months, would be Luke Starcevich from the state of North Dakota. Not to mention, man, and I want everybody to keep this in mind as we start to talk about, and as we continue to talk in the weeks ahead about how this 2027 class may shake out. There will probably be a few offers doled out during camp season to 2027 prospects. This is something I know for a fact because I've talked to a kid that received an offer such as this. This is something that Jim Nagy and the Oklahoma front office are collectively doing. They're telling kids, hey, we're going to, quote-unquote, soft launch an offer to you. We're going to offer you, in order to make it committable, you have to show up at camp, and we got to stamp you in person. We got to verify that you're good enough. And so there will be guys that show up in camp season in the 2027 cycle that make their way to Norman with the intent of earning an offer from the Sooners, and I'd be willing to wager that there are several that do wind up picking up an offer from the Sooners. One guy that did that successfully, even though it kind of took a while in the 2026 class, was Christian Moore. He showed up to camp at Oklahoma all the way from Selma, Alabama. Didn't get the offer right then and there, but at the very tail end of the cycle, in November of 2025, when Jim Nagy decided we're going to take another linebacker, Christian Moore was the guy that they dialed up. So Oklahoma's board right now at pretty much every single position group in the 2027 cycle looks pretty robust.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't all going to shake out how we expect it to. It never does. There are always twists and turns along the way, and I would be surprised if we get to a point in June where Oklahoma isn't still actively hunting and evaluating for at least 1 or 2 spots in the class.
Is this a novel concept? What you just described about we're going to give you the offer as a soft launch, but you got to come back here, and then we're going to actually make it committable. Is that a new thing or no?
It's not a novel concept, not a new thing. It's something a lot of schools will do. Alabama during the Saban days was notorious for this, where a guy might announce an Alabama offer. That didn't necessarily mean he could commit to Alabama then and there. I remember this was a huge debate with regard to Cole Adams' Alabama offer. There were so many that said, no, that's not a committable offer. That's not a committable offer. He's got to go camp for Saban. He's got to prove it. That's one of their quote-unquote soft offers, if you will. It was not the case. Cole Adams' offer was always committable, and he did wind up committing to Alabama. But that's the reason why there was such a huge debate over it, is because people knew that a lot of those Alabama offers were halfway legitimate, if you will. An 806 listener says, bring me all the blue chip D tackles. And yeah, like if you're going to take 4 defensive tackles in the same class, this would be the class to do it, Grayson. David Stone and Jaden Jackson aren't getting any younger. You got 2 years left max with those guys. You might have 1 year left with those guys.
I would wager to say 1.
And so I think we're about where we were last year with the linebacker group when we're talking about the picture at defensive tackle. It's about time for Oklahoma to load up. And they did load up at linebacker last cycle. They got 4. I wouldn't mind seeing them take 4 defensive tackles.
No, I would not either. And Zane Rowe is going to be curious to me, because if he has indeed packed on the size to where he's now being looked at as a defensive tackle, I want to see if his game still remains the same. Does that quickness, does that speed still remain, even with the added size? So that'll be something I'm going to keep a huge eye on into the 2026 football season.
He's just such a good athlete, man.
He is.
Like, that kid's special. That is the type of dude that, within reason, obviously, I would be willing to bet on no matter where he lands positionally at the next level, because he is just so big and so twitchy and so aggressive and plays with such emotion. And it's just so competitive. That's always what I've appreciated the most about Zane Rowe is you go to any event in or around the DFW area, be it an elite camp, a 7-on-7 event, wherever you go around DFW, or probably a 3-4 hour radius outside of DFW this time of year, January through May, you're going to see Zane Rowe there, man. He is about it. He wants to compete.
Just likes to play
every
football.
Opportunity he gets. Yes. Recruiting Boomer says, as long as the D-line class has George Toya, we good. Boomer. I think as long as this D-line class has Zane Rowe, you're good.
You're going to be all right.
You're going to be all right. And the hope would be that you can hang on to Elijah Harmon and Devin Robertson, who are going to be targeted by other schools down the stretch. There will be multiple other programs that try to flip them. But you can reel Zane Rowe back into the fold. You can get a couple more bodies, capable bodies, the likes of a Robertson and a Harmon, or maybe a Ben-Jarvius Shoemaker or Toya or whoever. As long as Zane Rowe is in the class, I feel good about the outcome. And also, man, you know that Todd Bates isn't going to come up short. If Todd Bates gets in a position where he's behind the 8 ball a little bit and he's got to develop a relationship with a kid 3-4 months to the finish line and got to make things happen on an accelerated timeline, he's demonstrated he's the type of guy that can do that.
Who's the main competition for Zane Rowe at this point in time?
Texas Tech.
Reasons other than dollars or no?
Yeah, I mean, I will give Tech credit. I think it's all too easy these days to look at Tech's presence in a blue chip recruitment and conclude that money is the only reason.
Which is why we asked the question.
Yes, which is why it's a question worth asking. But to Texas Tech's credit, before they had the reputation of being the school that was just dishing out big dollars to blue chip talent. They had a reputation, and they still do to this day, even if it's not as conspicuous. They had a reputation as the school that was first to offer everybody. Their scouting department was and is superb. They make outstanding evals, and they make them early. And so they have sewn into the Zane Rowe recruitment for quite a while, and it's part of the reason they've been able to develop staying power. But if you're asking me where the kid ends up, I think it's right back at the University of Oklahoma. I think that's where his heart has always been. We shall see, folks. We'll be tracking that situation and so many others on Oklahoma's 2027 recruiting board every single weekday here from 2 to 3 p.m. throughout the spring, summer, the year 2026, and beyond. That's what we do here. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Thanks for coming along for the ride with us today on Locked In. Coming up next here on The Ref, it's The Rush with Tyler and Ted. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Keep it here.